Full spoilers for Doctor Strange. No, I'm kidding.
Doctor Strange.
Full spoilers for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I lost count MCU film. 28?
I really don't know anymore.
Yeah, maybe. Full spoilers. Sam Raimi's Doctor Strange. It's out. Go see it. Check it out. You've been warned.
This should have been called Sam Raimi's Doctor Strange. Marvel's Sam Raimi's Doctor Strange.
What did we think about this?
Ben, I want to hear what you thought about it.
Oh, I loved it.
Cool.
I had an absolute blast with it. It was great.
Cool.
Ryan, what'd you think of it?
I love it. Let me tell you, there are unfathomable amount of reasons why I love this movie. Not just because it feels like a movie. Like I'm watching like a movie directed by someone with a vision. I've been seeing a lot of people online saying like they don't, especially after this movie, they don't see where the direction is for Marvel for the next like decade. I'm like, you guys are crazy. There's so much like teeing up and setting up and like the things that happen in this movie that could be so many things that is so, as a comic fan, so insane. Like Sam Raimi was like, oh, I got to make my own movie. And like, they just asked me to put a couple things in there. The couple things he put in there are huge. And not everyone's talking about him because like not everyone reads as many Marvel comics because I'm a freaking moron. I love this movie. It's so fun. I love Evil Dead more than life itself. And I watched a superhero Evil Dead movie. Like I could not ask for anything more than that.
Sparks?
I really, really enjoyed it. And then I saw it a second time.
I don't care.
And
that's awesome.
I love it. So yeah, I thought it was really great.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I really loved this movie. When I came out of the theater the first time, I was just buzzing. I was just like, God, remember what the thing happened? And the thing that was the coolest thing. Like, and Ryan's right. Like, ever since Phase 1, like Marvel has relied very heavily on pulling people out of the indie scene because they're people that they can just give a second unit directors to do action scenes to kind of move along. This is the first time in a long time that they pick someone from old Hollywood, someone who has a distinct vision, has a distinct voice. And Sam Raimi has directed a movie since Oz the Great and Powerful, I believe, which we don't want to talk about. But
really weird little stain on an almost perfect track record.
Yeah, that's too bad. Yeah. But yeah, I really, really like Sam Raimi. I really, really like this movie. It is top 5 MCU films. I don't know exactly where, but it's in the top 5.
Yeah, it's definitely. Like I immediately knew it's definitely top 10. I want to see it again. And also a discussion for a different time. It's been a long time since we did our MCU list and so much has come out and our opinions have changed. We should definitely relook at it one of these days. That'd be fun.
Hey, for Avengers 5.
Come on. Before I die, Brandon, come on.
Do we want to do our bingo cards?
Yeah, sure.
Mine's on my phone. Like I got like almost nothing, and I could not be happier. Just like No Way Home, this movie is so much like smaller. It's a big movie, but it's so much smaller than I anticipated.
I gotta go get my bingo card. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I didn't get a bingo whatsoever.
So I'll go. So I got bingo with these ones. Obviously.
So you did do one.
No, I didn't get bingo. I didn't get bingo. Sorry, I misspoke. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So these are the ones I got right. And I kind of want to go, like, I want to start a review with, like, the things that we got right on our cards.
I just want to preface, you said you weren't going to make one, and you did, and I'm happy about it.
Oh, yes. Because I was spoiled by a couple of things.
I bet you weren't fully spoiled, though.
I got spoiled by Captain Carter because of the marketing.
But yeah,
Everybody did.
I don't count that as a spoiler.
It was on a poster. Like
I don't count that as a spoiler.
And then, well, I mean, I do because I wanted to avoid it.
Sure.
And then I got spoiled.
But her shield was on.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Move on. And then I got spoiled by Reed Richards. Like a couple of days before there was the clip was online. But I didn't get Anson Mount spoiled, and I was really hoping that he'd be in it.
That's funny because we talked about all these rumors like a year ago how Anson Mount was cast in I knew everyone was in the movie, but I didn't know they were in the movie. But
when it became clear, like we were talking about like so many different characters being cast in this movie, and when it became clear how much smaller the cameo pool was, I was like, I mean, why would Anson Mount be in this movie? He's in one shitty TV show.
Exactly.
And so like, So like I had this moment. I was like, that'd be cool to see him again because I liked his Black Bolt. But like, I'm not putting my eggs in that basket. But I did end up getting that right.
Hell yeah.
It's really excited to see that.
I'll pull mine up. I literally almost got like none right. And again, I couldn't be happier. I got Clea right because I had a feeling because she gets a big push in the comics right now that only happens when shit happens in the movies. So I put Clea. I got that right. Almost all of my X-Men stuff is wrong. No other X-Men characters. That was right. So I'll allow that one. But all my other ones were like cameos. I thought Caecilius was going to show up. I thought the Watcher was going to show up. I thought Ultron was going to show up. So
I thought for sure the Watcher was going to be in this movie.
Tom Cruise, like all of mine, like bad bingo card. Great movie.
Yeah. I'm happy with all the ones I got wrong. I thought I put Chthon.
Oh yeah.
Because I was like, Chthon's going to be in this, like, or not in it, but like a mention. I just put the Chthon.
They did.
Yeah, I know. I got that one right. Like, I there's a moment where like they're like it's all, the Darkhold's on Mount Wondergore, and I was like, oh shit, I made a screw up. I should have put Wondergore. I was gonna do Wondergore, and then like this belongs to Chthon. I was like, yes, I did it.
Oh yeah,
I was right.
Tell them about your Captain Marvel fuck up.
Oh no.
Yes. Okay, well, I'll tell you. So Brandon put Maria Rambeau as Captain Marvel and was really was like, shit, I didn't get that one. I'm like, what do you mean? Maria was Captain Marvel. And he's like, oh, I meant to put Monica. Cool, I got one. And I'm like, no. You meant to say Monica. You don't get it.
No.
I gave it to myself because it didn't get bingo anyway. He didn't say the magic word.
I had the Wanda Kid 616. I had Captain Carter in the 616. Definitely not happening with Captain Carter.
I'm really happy with how this movie. Ben, what did you get right? Because we've been talking about it a little bit.
I got Mortal Lives.
Oh, yeah, same.
Yeah.
I got No Way Home Fallout was mentioned. Evil Strange Guys.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. And of course, Reed Richards. I mean, I'll put Reed Richards down because apparently I was spoiled for Reed Richards after I wrote that down because me and Fanny were trying to figure out what to put on our bingo cards because once we got like 5 or 7 boxes left to fill out, it was getting hard to put in our own original ones before we had to go to steal from the rest of you guys. And sorry, I did steal a few from you guys. Apologies, but
how dare you, sir?
But Fanny was looking through to try and find the trailer. And she got to a thumbnail with John Krasinski as Reed Richards. And we didn't see the suit. It was like, luckily, it was just from here up. But I looked over and I'm like, please be fake. Please be fake. Please be fake. Please be fake. Because Fanny was like, oh shit, that's a spoiler. And then I'm like, I see for a split second, I'm like, I'm going to pray to God that's fake. But at the same time, I hope it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, Mark, real quick, Marty's comment of anyone put Song Battle. I could not have predicted that, Marty. No one on the planet could have predicted that genius.
So the movie opens, the movie.
I got hey, I got bingo.
You got bingo?
Yes. Jesus.
Sorry.
Blowing me out. All right.
That's not what that means.
A Reed Richards appears. Mm-hmm. And Xavier knows a Stephen Strange. Mm-hmm. And America Chavez stays in the MCU, and a Stephen Strange is in the Illuminati. And then I got the free Bruce Campbell space. Nice. And that gave me bingo. But like Ryan, there were only a couple of other correct ones, and most of them were wrong, and I'm also happy for it.
Absolutely. Couldn't be happier.
Because I was banking on bullshit I didn't want to see.
Honestly, I had like 2 different post-credits ones. I had an Agatha post-credit scene because of Scarlet Witch. That went out the window the second we realized that Wanda's the villain. And then I had a Fantastic Four post-credits tease. That also went out the window.
I thought for sure a TVA post-credit scene because Michael Waldron.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I definitely had a thought, and it's gone. I'll catch it to you in a minute.
Cool. So let's just let's dive in.
Real quick. This isn't. This will move into thoughts of the movie. This isn't a negative on the movie, but it's really interesting that there's literally there's no vision in this movie whatsoever. And I
Yeah.
thought for the character of Wanda, specifically coming off WandaVision, not having Vision, again, doesn't detract the movie, would have been a huge bonus, I think, to have more emotional stuff with Vision. Doesn't ruin the movie, but I was surprised. No surprise.
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah.
This movie moves at a clip. One of the things I really appreciate is how quickly this movie goes. Like we're scene one, we're running, and we don't stop.
I love in media res. Also, this movie is like over 2 hours long, and it never stops. Like some people like to stop to talk, but like it's a chase movie, pretty much the entire movie, which rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The simplicity in the script allows everything to be action, reaction, action, reaction. Every scene in this movie plays out as a reaction to something that had happened in the previous scene.
It is the superhero Mad Max that we all deserve.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Big old chase scene.
The Defender Strange, who I thought was going to have a bigger role, I cannot stress how happy I am with how this movie went.
Yeah, the marketing, while it did reveal a lot, the context for everything was not there. So Zombie Strange I thought was going to be evil. I thought this guy was going to be our like second protagonist. Like he's dead immediately. Love it.
Yeah, they're being chased by like some demon.
No,
They did a great job.
How this movie, I also think because of What If played to this movie's strengths a lot, because it threw us all off of what, like the scene where Wanda busts through and she has like the red eyes and she's a little bloody. You think, oh, that's zombie Wanda from What If.
Yeah.
I never bought into that theory.
So many things from What If happened. Like, oh, is this so-and-so from What If? Turns out, no.
See, I never thought that Evil Strange was Supreme Strange from What If. Mm-hmm. That never made sense to me.
I never thought that was zombie Wanda, not once. But I get how people got there.
Sometimes people can just be wrong. It's okay.
So actually, you've been trying to say something for a bit.
I don't remember now.
Okay.
Sorry.
The scene that I'm trying to like get at.
Oh, the marketing did a good job of hiding Wanda as the villain, because you were talking about the marketing.
Yeah. Because it kind of makes you. It kind of makes you think that Wanda maybe starts misguided and then turns good.
Or some mix of their.
Yeah.
Nothing made me happier because again, I had a feeling like I knew Mount Wundagore was in the movie from some just like side material stuff that came out. So I assumed Chthon was in a movie. I assumed this movie was going to be third act. Wanda is revealed to have been possessed by Chthon. That's why she's evil. She teams up with Doctor Strange to fight the big bad. Happy ending for everybody. And that would have been shitty and boring. And it happens literally on every TV show of all time.
And somehow America Chavez plays a role.
Yeah, and somehow just like she is the MacGuffin of the movie, but she is a good character as well.
Well, but like that's the film that you described as the movie that we were kind of pitched by the trailers has America Chavez, but we don't know what her role is in the film. We don't know that people need to get her, people need to whatever. We don't get that in the trailers. What the movie is America Chavez is the MacGuffin. Wanda is Cold Stone Evil, being like, I need to get America Chavez's powers.
She's MacGuffin 1, and then we have the Book of Ashanti MacGuffin 2.
Yeah, both hero and villain have different MacGuffins.
It's MacGuffin City, but you know what? It's a comic book, baby. I'm not mad about this one.
When Defender Strange is running, and they're just like, oh, we got to get to the Book of Ashanti. Okay, let's get to the Book of Ashanti. And like I was like, cool, this looks awesome. It looks bright. It's colorful. Benedict Cumberbatch is clearly having a good time in every scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Really.
It's a great start of the movie. Again, one, opening in media res, this opening in action is always fun. But it shows the stakes of the movie, like the plot of the movie, but also like the core plot of Stephen Strange and how he's always the one who has to hold the knife, and he's always the one who has to make the tough decision. And it's always black or white. You have to die. It's unfortunately the way it is. And this whole movie's like, but does it have to be that way?
Yeah.
One,
and that's what's so good.
And then it's introduced and tied into America's perspective of him.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's her like, I've encountered stranges, and that's what they all do. They all default to the logical surgical decision.
Yeah.
And the fact that she has to later on in the film go, this Stephen is different.
Yeah.
And then even still, not to like go too spoiler, but like he ends up still having to do the things that the other strangers have done. Like he still has to go into the Darkhold and stuff, but like
that's what. But the difference is like this Stephen. See, I think what's interesting is that in a lot of worlds where we see that Stephen has become evil, it is because of the Darkhold. If the Darkhold is with Stephen Strange gets corrupted by the Darkhold.
Mm-hmm.
but in this universe, Wanda has the Darkhold. So our Steven ends up on a completely different path than the other Steven's, a path that leads him to a more compassionate place in the end.
Well, but it's more complicated than that, because you get Defender Strange, who doesn't have the Darkhold, and he still makes the choice that you as an audience go is morally reprehensible, which is to kill America to save the multiverse.
Yeah.
And our Steven won't make that choice, even when America offers it to him.
Yeah, it's always of like, it has to be this way or the other way. And he's like, well, or we just try to find a better way. It doesn't have to be black or white.
Which has never been the way Steven does it.
Yeah.
This is change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he's approached by Dr. West in the beginning about was there another way? No, there wasn't. That kind of black and white binary that we're talking about.
Some great in-game aftermath stuff there.
Yeah.
The weight of that decision just being present on Doctor Strange specifically.
Manages to be funny and sad in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
I think that conversation with Wes is pretty good. I think all the more damning is later when Wanda throws, was that the kind of thinking that made you give Thanos the time stone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which the undercurrent of that being which led to the death of my husband. Yeah.
And she even says, like, I blew a hole through my husband's head and it meant nothing.
And he just reversed time. Yeah. So sad.
Yeah. Kind of the greater good binary thing that we're talking, we were at war, as he says.
Yeah. Right. And this is very much like it works very well because this is who Steven is. Steven has always been first and foremost a surgeon.
Yeah.
And then he became this sorcerer, but he was a surgeon first. And so they make the choice. The whole thing is like, for a surgeon, you make the choice that you have to make a choice that you say, this is the best way. And in fact, the only way we could do it, because you have to follow that way all the way through, and win or lose, save a life or don't. You have to say that was the best choice without questioning it. Because if you question it, you're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For yourself. You'll lie awake at night thinking about that.
And in the first film, it's very clear how he's given the pad by Palmer to see, like, what is this? Oh, Wes is about to kill this man. Like that is the truth. That is the fact that I'm going to follow it through because I know I'm right.
Right.
So
this is a change in the way he thinks, and it's such a simple story, and it's such a subtle presence of a continued growth for Steven, but it is bookending the story. Even if it's introduced as a concept with our Defender variant, not our main Steven, it is the through line that gets us all the way to the end where Steven has made these changes and he decides to finally fix the watch. Very Iron Man 3. I'm gonna change things.
Yeah.
Moment.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. The Iron Man 3 analogy. Really like Iron Man 3.
A lesser sequel would have just forgotten entirely about maintaining a storyline connected to the watch, connected to Steven's relationship with Christine. But it's a thoughtful enough thing while not being the dominant point of the film.
Yeah.
It's just the undercurrent of Steven's arc while he's doing all this other stuff. And in a similar vein, I do want to just say, like, clearly, even without memory of Peter Parker, some amount of the Spider-Man interaction has changed Strange. Because the kind of openness that he only shows Peter near the end of that film, he's showing to America from the get-go. I kind of screwed up how I handled things with a kid recently. I kind of want to do better.
Does he shoot spiderwebs from his butt? I don't know.
No, I hope
not.
Wong is great in this as well.
MVP.
Always so good.
Talking about the arc that Steven is on, like when Wong and Steven first get together, they always have good chemistry, but like here, a lot of their scenes just kind of like shine. When he's like, it's ancient custom to bow in front of the Sorcerer Supreme. I know the custom.
Wong's action scenes.
Yeah.
When he first comes at Gargantos, so good.
Yeah, man. The Gargantos fight scene is awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I unfortunately saw it like 300 times within trailers and TV spots. It's still really great.
But like it looks good. There's the whole thing. Like I'm talking about, like up until the eyeball comes out. Like there's good magic use. Like the thing is, like I like the first Doctor Strange movie. It's a pretty good movie, but like a lot of the magic in that is just kind of like sparky whips and shields and things.
It's more about like the crazy visuals as opposed to the spells. Yeah.
Yeah, and then here we get like spells. He's like, I'm gonna catch this car with a dog's head coming out, giant dog's head coming out of the ground.
Yeah. So it was kind of a cheat because I knew there would be more magic, but I did write like new spells. But I was gonna give myself I needed like a lot of cool shit to get that one right, and there was. Immediately, like he's throwing heads and he's doing like Hydra stuff and like
he throws his hands.
Yeah. He does like literally. That's a D&D movie.
Yeah, he throws down his monster hands to pick up the lamp. Yeah, it's a lot of really and like very bright, very colorful, very fulfilled with people.
You know what it felt like? Watching Spider-Man.
It felt like watching Spider-Man.
Specifically, that Gargantua scene was like, man, this feels like Raimi, like Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I love it.
Exactly. It felt like him doing a superhero story in New York, which was just really refreshing and nice. There's something really pleasant about watching Strange put the drink down, flip over, pull out the cloak, and go into
that
the city.
Dude,
very sick.
That dude has to show off.
He does. But like, it's pretty cool though.
He knows he's hot shit.
Yeah.
I love how he keeps the cloak, the cloak limitation as like his handkerchief, but like he just like puts the drink down and like just takes it. I was like, that's so cool.
It is funny. It is funny that of course this has to happen like 10 minutes into his ex-girlfriend's wedding. Of course, it has to happen there. Classic superhero stuff. Although her husband seems to really dig Doctor Strange, so I'm sure he's not mad about it.
He's watching the fight. He's like, oh, this is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought I just want to get this out of the way. Like, I'm really happy that Sam Raimi got to direct a good movie about his favorite superhero.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Because his favorite is Doctor Strange. And like, if this movie was bad, it would have felt so bad, but it's not. It's great. It is a Sam Raimi Doctor Strange movie that I wanted.
Yeah. And like, it's not like 25% a Sam Raimi movie. It's
not
like,
100.
like, I would say the only time that I feel, and even still, his direction is fully there, is the big cameo part of the movie. Even still, his direction is there. And even like, it gets even better with all the brutality that he does.
Right.
I think this is the most stylish movie the MCU's ever made. Hands down. Like it's so, Sam Raimi is such a unique filmmaker. And I get people who don't like his style. Like I get it. Like it's not for everyone.
Sam Raimi has been
y'all.
He's been a split figure forever. I always loved him. Like,
yeah. He's,
your new roommate, Jeremy, and Sparks was there. Like we would always watch Sam Raimi movies. We'd always watch That's not what I meant. That's not how I meant to say it. But like we would watch all these Bruce Campbell movies, all these Sam Raimi movies together. It was a lot. It was a lot of fun.
It was really fun. I sat next to Jeremy during this movie, and I knew he was a fan. But like watching the movie, I realized like, oh, this guy's into Raimi. And there's a specific part. This is probably my favorite third act of any Marvel movie too, by the way. There's a specific moment where zombie Doctor Strange is coming to life and guitar licks start playing. And it's the beginning. It's the beginning of the third act. And I see Jeremy perk up and I perk up and I'm like, Sam Raimi, my God, he's so good. And I'm like, oh, I was so ready for it.
The smooth jazz when Wanda is about to dreamwalk. The
early thousands gothic guitar, oh
my God, I saw people like complaining that this was awful, but like the fading in shots of like the editing and like Wong coming. Like, this is filmmaking. This is
baby.
You guys are just so used to like bad and boring editing, y'all. This is like what movies are about.
The thing that like I really appreciate is I've been talking about like. I don't think there's a problem within the MCU. I think this is a blockbuster problem. Like currently, blockbusters are sanitized. There's no sex, and all the violence is like there's no weight. There's no real weight to the violence. We talked about with the Matrix how the Matrix kind of started that, and you see like this is not that at all. Like I would believe that there would be a implied sex scene, a tasteful sex scene in this movie, but there's no romance in this movie. There is.
Christine says. It would be a hell of an incursion.
Right.
And then in the post-credits, Clea shows up and says, Doctor Strange, you incited an incursion.
Bro.
Oh!
They banged before she went back.
He's got a baby in 838.
Oh my God. It's incursion. It's going to be an incursion, baby.
Secret Wars is coming, right?
Oh God. We'll talk about it. We'll get there.
Anyway, I'm just saying. It's there.
Oh, so let's talk about Christine. in the first movie, she's fine. Like Rachel McAdams is definitely, unfortunately, just like the girlfriend role in that movie.
Right.
Significantly upgraded in this movie. She not only gets to play multiple characters, she actually gets to like act and have fun and actually get to do action.
Really, her primary role, because our main MCU Christine is just at her wedding, and then
Yeah,
we're with
true.
the 838 one for the rest of the time. But that allows her to actually take part and do something, which I thought was wonderful.
Yeah, and something I love in multiverse stories is like constants and like their love being broken, like them not working out, being a constant everywhere, no matter what, and them being like, I know you're not my Strange, but like you are a Strange, so like the connection's there. I eat that shit up. I love that when it's done well. And like she starts to like tear up and stuff. Like, man, it's really fun. And like then we can have this kind of moment, and then we're about to get a giant like superhero murder massacre. Like it's got multitudes.
Yeah, I also really like there are things that are destined to always happen in every universe, and one of them being that Doctor Strange can never get with Christine. He always screws it up.
Happen.
Yeah,
Or it's taken away from him, to be fair, like the What If episode.
Like the What If episode. Yeah, I really like that sort of thing. And the film was allowed to do stuff like that. The film was allowed to be weird and visually stylistic because, again, the script is purposefully simple.
Yeah.
You know, it gives the filmmaker room to play with this movie, and that's what Sam Raimi gets to do. He gets to play with this movie, and I agree. That's such an energy to it. And
again, like it being a chase movie, like we are constantly going to new places and just having Wanda destroy the place, and that's just really fun. And we'll get to Wanda, but like yeah, the sets in this movie are really fun. Like I love going to the Carmitage, seeing like all the different multiverses, like the same location but in different realities. Like seeing the Sanctum Sanctorum like 4 different times, really fun, really cool.
Right. Yeah, I think that give me a moment to collect my thought again. I think that the script is serviced very well by having the primary, like we do have the arc about Steven, we have the arc of the Christine analyzing Steven and that causing Steven to do self-reflection, which ultimately is furthering his growth of like, why am I not happy? What do I need to do different? How can I be different, but also accept that I'm not going to be with Christine?
Yeah.
And that's secondary. Even though he's our main character, that is the secondary story because the primary story is what's happening to Wanda.
Yeah,
that is the primary story, and the driving force of the narrative, and that has good things and bad things to it for sure.
Yeah,
the scene where Strange, where they bury Defender Strange, and he's just like, I buried worse. What's the worse?
He's done some shady shit, Mr. Strange.
So that's gonna violate an ordinance. It's like, what do you
mean? Great setup, by the way. I did not think that was where that was going to happen when that happens. But as soon as he's like getting ready to dreamwalk, I was like, Zombie Strange.
Yeah, people clocked it. People clocked it in trailers saying that they were the same people, but I didn't buy it just for whatever reason. But they are wearing the same clothes. Just one's really gross and tattered. But yeah, what a third act, man! Like for real. Do we want to talk about Wanda? Do you want to talk about Wanda?
I do, and I kind of want to get to some of the negatives before, because there's a lot to gush about in this movie, and I do kind of want to tackle. And I think Wanda, as wonderful as there are things to talk about Wanda, the biggest negative comes with Wanda, which is that it is a bummer to watch them take the most developed of the female superheroes and the one with mental issues get tossed into the villain category and kind of thrown under the bus. That is unfortunately also what happens in comics with Wanda. And this is coming from the source material, and this is a story that a lot of people have also wanted to be done, as much as other people have not.
Elizabeth Olsen wanted to do this for a long time.
Right. That people have wanted to do with the Scarlet Witch and everything. And I don't think that necessarily the problem is with this movie. I think the problem is that WandaVision improperly prepared for this story.
I will agree with that, yeah.
I think that WandaVision leaves you in a space, regardless of the post-credit scene that shows that she's messing with the Darkhold and hears her son's voices, and that kind of implies like, ooh, sinister things could happen because of that. All of us still walked away from WandaVision thinking what that meant is that she was going to be tempted to want to go into the multiverse, not murder many people. Because part of WandaVision's beautiful conclusion, and it was her acceptance of loss and letting them go. And this is very much not that piece. And I don't think people are wrong to feel grossed out or betrayed, especially if this is a character who they relate to for their mental issues. I know this is something I'm sure, Ryan, you've talked with Pepper about, because I have, where like it honestly triggered Pepper to watch Wanda's PTSD be manipulated this way. And I think that's valid.
Absolutely.
I think that a better pretense to this film would have fared this film better. And it can be a little too simple to go, well, Wanda's also corrupted by the Darkhold. That's why this is happening. You know, it's Wanda spent too much time with the Darkhold, and that's why this has gone to full blown, I'm willing to murder many, many people. On a second watch, even thinking about that, part of where I think that doesn't hold as solid a water is that the Darkhold gets destroyed partway into this movie. Wanda's still on her path. Mm-hmm. Wanda's not free of that Darkhold, if that's going to be our thinly veiled excuse for Wanda's actions.
Just rebuttal. I don't think it's a thinly veiled excuse personally. The way I took that is like the Darkhold wouldn't, like, you wouldn't snap out of it immediately. Like the Darkhold's an infection that it would wear off as you get further away from the book.
Sure, I can agree with that. My point being that, like, for people who are not wanting to see them do this to Wanda, yes, it is a thinly veiled excuse in a writing standpoint. The Darkhold is a get out of jail free card on Wanda as a character who wouldn't normally do this. The reason is the Darkhold. And that is being a plot device to allow them to do these things to the character. Again, I think in a world where the lead up to this was maybe a little more cohesive and functioned properly as a base for this story with Wanda, or where she wasn't your only big prominent female superhero right now, I think it would land differently. But those are the circumstances, and I feel like people who feel jilted by the way that Wanda's treated is fair.
Yeah, this is
it was the hardest thing. It was the thing I was rubbing up against the most while I was watching it, in both good ways and being like, I can see where this is not favorable for just the treatment of women with mental health problems and PTSD on screen.
That is 100% valid, and that is of all the talk I've seen about this movie, that is the biggest thing. I agree with all that. It truly comes down to the fact for me, we are really ingrained in the MCU. If you're someone who doesn't know anything about the MCU and you come to just watch the Sam Raimi movie, it's really fun.
Yeah.
This is absolutely MCU fans. And they're right. Like, they're 100% right. Like this is not the direction I personally would have took Wanda after WandaVision. Because I thought that was done. I thought that's the point of WandaVision, right? That being said, like, she does become a villain in the comics for a little bit, right? And like the thing I was talking about, setting up stuff for the future. The thing that I think they're setting up for the future with this is Children's Crusade, because she dies and she's missing for years and she has amnesia, and then she shows up and she's Dr. Doom's like mistress or whatever, right? This is not the full arc for Wanda. People think that WandaVision was just the arc. That is not. This is a character who's going to be evolving for a long time, and it's unfortunate. This is the biggest comparison I can do, unfortunately, make is this is Zack Snyder's Superman comparison. We are not where the character is in the comics, and like this is not where, like, people don't want Wanda to be this character. It's going to take a while to get to the character that like you want her to be, because Marvel doesn't want that. Also, the actor doesn't want that. This is what the actor wants for the character, and that's unfortunate for the fans. That being said, like at the end of the day, I look at this as just, again, a movie, and I had a really good time with the movie. If I like showed this to my mom, she wouldn't know any of that stuff about Wanda, and we are a nerd podcast, so like we have to talk about like that stuff. Right. The movie is so good. I am able to divide my MCU-ness and just watch it as a movie. I know that's the opposite of what the podcast is about. I know it is, but like I didn't think about it as like, oh, they're disrespecting Wanda. I'm like, I'm watching a kick-ass movie right now. And that's me not thinking about representation and stuff, like wanting to watch a movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, like, that's a lot of how I was viewing it the first time, with like a minor amount of like thinking about like where WandaVision left us leading into this. And I do think that that's where a lot of the onus lies, is that WandaVision treats it not only as like Wanda's acceptance of loss, but like a she's kind of, I know you saw this too, like people talking about like she kind of gets a pass narratively from the third person objective of the audience, like Wanda gets a pass on the things she did in Westview, and like that wasn't the way to handle that. That was meant to be like, this is a weight that's going to carry on.
Yes, and the thing about like again, like this isn't the last we're gonna see of the Scarlet Witch. There's no way that she's dead. Obviously, this is such a comic book character thing to do. It's unfortunate that like the villain, the comic character has villainous ties. She took away the powers of 16 million people, and a lot of them died. Like she has a history of trauma, and that's unfortunate that Marvel wants to lean into that. That being said, I think the execution of it is really fun. The only thing that I would have needed to make this seem better is, yes, the Darkhold is corrupting her. That's unfortunately, that is the main reason she is this evil. They needed to explore more of that. They simply needed to show how bad, maybe more Chthon corruption. But like, I wouldn't want them to remove Wanda from this movie as a villain. I also wouldn't want them to scapegoat it as Chthon being the bad guy, taking away everything she's done. I think her being a bad person is a good character choice. Wanda fans will not agree.
I think this is like, and a lot of this is stemming from not necessarily all my read. This is me having conversations with others, specifically, as I mentioned, Pepper, about what they felt, because they were very, very unhappy with what was done with Wanda in this series. And I see where it's coming from. Yeah. And I think that it's fair. Some of the things that some of these people, not specifically Pepper, are asking for is like, why couldn't it have been a different universe Wanda? Why couldn't it have been something like what you're saying with Chthon having been controlling Wanda? And I'm like, that wouldn't have felt right either, because part of why I like watching it so much is because every time Wanda's doing something bad, I'm going, oh no, Wanda, no, I'm invested in her. Therefore, she's a great villain, because I don't want her. It's like watching Anakin kill the younglings and kill the Jedi. Yes. It's that turn. And so it's a powerful villain because of that. So I don't necessarily think that's the solution. What I do grant is I think maybe something visually should have been done a little more clearly. I think it's there, but like maybe just for like really blatant put it out there about how much the Darkhold has Wanda.
Yeah.
From the jump.
Yeah.
There's a great reveal in this where Strange goes to Wanda and he says, it smells real, like the apple farm. It's like, oh, I put the magic all behind me and blah, blah, blah. And she's spinning this yarn. And then she says, why don't you bring America here? You didn't tell me her name, did you? And then there's the destroyed world that she has created here. Great reveal. I think Elizabeth Olsen is stupendous in this movie.
She is really, really good in this movie. It's probably my favorite performance of her in any of these movies. Ryan,
in that orchard scene, how'd you feel about seeing Kaled on the big screen?
I swear to God, but I'm not joking. I really did think of that. It looked disgusting. It looked horrible and gross, full of dead monsters, the dead trees or whatever. That I always forget that her powers are tied to one of the Infinity Stones. So her doing like the reality change like Thanos did in Infinity War or in Endgame or whatever, like, man, that's so cool. Like, I forgot, like, oh man, she really is powerful. And the thing that I love about this movie is like, she is so strong in this movie, dude. She could take on every magician in Camertage, every sorcerer, whatever you want to call him, every Harry Potter boy. I love that they really get to see like, this is what the Scarlet Witch is capable of. She can summon monsters. She can warp reality. I love it.
Yeah, there's a bit where Wong is preparing everyone. Is like, the Scarlet Witch is a being of immense power, because like we learned
fortify your minds.
Fortify your minds.
It's so funny because he's first fortify your shields, and then it's like, now it's your minds. And it's like, people laughed in the audience, and I'm like, you guys are laughing for the right reasons.
Because it's kind of silly, because he's like, fortify, he's like really into it.
Such a great shot when she swoops around that guy.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of nope.
Oh no, we're talking about Wong.
When Wong is talking about like getting ready for like getting people ready for Wanda, he's like talking about like she can warp reality. She has the ability to conjure anything she wants. Because we learned in WandaVision how the Scarlet Witch is a mythical figure that is this destined witch to show up. I also really like the visual design of like keeping the visual continuity of both Strange and Wanda. So they have so seeing them like connect together with the different styles of witchcraft and sorcery created a really interesting contrast visually.
I also forget like because they reminded me like, yeah, sorcery and witchcraft are different things. Like they're doing different things. You just lump it in with magic.
I do want to highlight Marty and Sam are bringing up some some really interesting and nice things over in the comments. We're not going too
Ben.
high on them or anything.
You get these two are going at it, so I'm
no. We were deep in what we were doing, but like Sam's talking about it being a good parallel for American view of mental health. I think that there's an amount of that. I think it's also this gets dicey and like having Moon Knight out at the exact same time where it's doing like pretty good mental health representation, but it's for a male, and now we've got our female kind of mental health, our main one for the MCU, and what's going on here is like a little questionable. I think that this is the last thing I really want to say in the negative on this, because I'm more positive by far even about Wanda than anything else. I do think that the line "I'm not a monster, I'm a mother"
is really
puts a little too much onus on in the direction of the thing that everyone is bothered by, which is a woman out of control of her emotions trope. And I do think that specific line, why that's rubbed up against so many people, I think is totally fair. That it treats it as like any mom can go crazy like this is.
I do think the line about your kids are made of magic. Well, all mothers use magic to make their
I think that's a good one. I think that's a good one. Marty brought up a point about if Strange had come in to save the day in WandaVision, maybe it would have been a better lead-in because the choice wouldn't have been put on Wanda. Maybe. I just think this is one of those things where like certainly the pandemic, right, affected this, because again, this was supposed to be before No Way Home. So all kinds of things about how they thought about what they were doing with this movie changed, but like WandaVision both works as a lead into this movie and also kind of is a detriment to some aspects of it.
It's interesting, because like if you watch WandaVision, you're kind of getting like, oh, so that show didn't end the way I thought it was. So that doesn't really count, right? She's not better.
But also you absolutely need that background for the relevance and emotional connection of the boys.
That is the one thing I will say. I think you'll be fine. Like if you're a casual person coming to watch this movie, I think you'll be fine. But I do think this is one of the first things where you're really lacking if you don't watch WandaVision. Because like they throw the Darkhold, like, oh, you have the Darkhold. That's it. Like you're just supposed to like kind of know what the Darkhold is.
And she is the Scarlet Witch now, which is a concept that if you are just watching the MCU stuff and you didn't watch WandaVision, that's a concept you know nothing about.
If you go from Endgame to this, there's a lot that you're missing.
Yeah, which is interesting. Like it's cool to see like this is the first MCU film that's really required one of the shows now.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
I really like her costume. She's in a costume the whole movie, and it's a corrupted version of her costume from WandaVision.
Very, very glad that we have the black fingertips.
Oh, it's so
because again, like it's telling you about that Darkhold corruption.
Doesn't Agatha have the black fingertips?
Yeah.
In WandaVision?
Yes, and I think it's a bummer that the Strange who's fixated on the Darkhold doesn't have them.
Yeah, good point.
I looked for it the second viewing, and I'm like, he should have them too. It should be a consistent thing. The Steven who's destroyed by Black Bolt,
the 838 one,
but the one who he fights who has the third eye does not. Okay. Which I think was unfortunate, because I think it should have stayed a cohesive visual link of the corruption. Again, like agreeing with Pepper that there should have been something a little more pronounced for it.
I remember watching and I see Wanda's crown or her tiara, or whatever the heck you want to call it, and I'm looking at it like that looks more broken than the last time I saw it. It's got like black. It's got like black like sick lines running through it. It's got like black cracks on it. And then you see her costume itself. You see the sick lines and how it's a little darker. And the more I was watching this movie, and also like one of my favorite bits of this movie was when she's in the mirror dimension and she comes out of the mirror dimension.
Jesus.
Oh my God. I love it.
And you see
beautiful.
You see the cuts. You see like the veiny grossness.
When she rings out of the gong.
Let's talk about all of that right now, because like my God, when they trap her in the mirror dimension and she you see like it's attacking her, and then you see her like reach through, and you kind of see her like running through the puddles as they're trying to cover them.
I want to point out, like with that, I thought it was a very nice touch that Wanda can be very good at magic, but Wanda's very good at her magic. And Wanda's not familiar with everything, so she's never encountered the mirror dimension before, didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah,
because like the reason, so like because she's in it, and then she makes a move, and then the spikes show up,
and then she
tries to throw a ball, and that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And when we get to later in the film, when the spirits come at her, this is also something she's never encountered before. It's overwhelming her. It's scary for her.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that she's not just like competent in all ways with magic. Yeah, that we see that she can be put on her back foot.
There's some genuinely, like, honestly, I think this movie does a really good job with its horror beats.
Yeah.
I'll use horror in like quotes because it's not like, I'm not scared in this movie, but like
for the
most horror the MCU's ever had.
When she bursts through the gong and she rips through, and you just see her like contorting through and with all the scars, genuinely terrifying.
Great.
This is what I thought Moon Knight was gonna be like, guys.
Great.
This is what I thought Moon Knight was gonna be.
And Moon Knight, up to the release of this movie, Moon Knight also had the scariest moment in the MCU with that episode 4, The Tomb, which I just rewatched. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty freaky. Got nothing on Multiverse of Madness now, though. The sound design that they do for like when Wanda's approaching and about to do her magic, the whispering, the sounds, all very, very good. Like Elizabeth Olsen's able to play the very tense and scary presence, but also empathetic character, because I care about Wanda and I don't want Wanda to do these things.
We're all fans, or most of us are fans of the Evil Dead franchise. And so that scene with the reflections is ripped straight out of Army of Darkness. Evil Ash is trying to come through a mirror, so they're breaking mirrors, throwing stuff over mirrors. There's an eyeball that pops out of a floor. That's just like Ash's eyeball coming out of his shoulder, and I'm like, God, I cannot believe this is a $200 million Evil Dead movie I'm watching.
Right.
Like, I had such a good time. Like, I cannot wait to see this again.
The sequences when she's first dream walking into the 838 Wanda, and you get the Wanda in the photo frame that like is celebrating, then slowly turns and stares her down.
Got me a little bit.
And then when finally taken over, looks at the camera.
There's so much in that sequence, like just visually her possessing this 838 version of her with the Danny Elfman music, and you see she's not moving, but like the set is moving, like the bowls fly that way, and like she's struggling. There's a bit where she looks up, and you see, and like our Wanda looks up with her, like she's the reflection.
Yes.
And it's kind of ghostly. It doesn't look like a natural reflection. It's like a ghostly reflection that's kind of bright red. Wonderful.
Good time, because you said it. Good time to bring up Danny Elfman's just really on his shit in this one.
Man, yeah. I am seeing people like disrespecting Danny Elfman this week, and I will say, it's not as egregious as other movies. Yes, the main Doctor Strange score is not used 100% through the entire movie. Not every score has to be used the entire time. It is in the movie. It is in it. I heard it.
Importantly, it's in there more than people think it is.
They for real. I've seen people say like they erased his score, and I'm like,
no,
see
they just changed the instruments it's played with and the tempo it's moving at.
Yeah,
I thought it was great. Plus, like the introduction of Wanda, it's the WandaVision do 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 or whatever.
Not only, he has the WandaVision theme, the Captain America theme, and the X-Men '97 theme all put in here.
I had to change my pants. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Danny Elfman is a big proponent of respecting old themes. That's why when he did the Justice League theatrical cut, hear Batman and Superman themes.
Yep.
The I was like, oh.
It's so before we get to the cameo scene, I think Wanda's opening again. I think if you didn't see WandaVision, it is a bummer, but like the opening scene with her is really good because you see her with the family, everything's great, and then she wakes up and it feels really sad. It is super sad immediately. You're like, oh, I guess she doesn't have
because when she wakes up, it's very bright, but as the camera's turning with her getting up, it's getting darker and drearier.
It's so sad.
She has a thing where it's like, so why send the demons? Why send the demons after the little girl? Why don't you go get herself? That was me being merciful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, like I do agree with you, Sparks. Like I think she is way too murdery without giving more of an explanation that like the Darkhold really has a hold on this woman. Like they really needed to cement that in for how many people she murders. Like truly, like she's a bad person.
She's an Avenger. She's an Avenger who's doing this.
She's
that fight at Carmitage. That bull dude, feel so bad for that bull dude.
Rintesh or whatever.
When she's like, fortify your minds, and she finds one and like does her like Age of Ultron thing where she like possessed the Avengers. Oh, wonderful. Elizabeth Olsen is so great in this movie.
Yeah, very scary.
love the I think Wakandan sorcerer who destroys the Darkhold.
Yeah.
Best sound
Kind of.
Wakandan.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's a shout out to Dapper London sorcerer with the rapier.
Oh yeah, when the other guys come out,
Yeah, wonderful. Love you. Love your look.
Cool look.
Tell me more.
Yeah.
Going into the chat real quick because Sam has another comment that's been there for a while. She said you could have called this WandaVision season 2.
No, I can't.
Starring Doctor Strange.
No,
I don't think
it
it
would be
doesn't
very
carry over
different
the
as a
plot.
show.
It doesn't carry over the plot threads from WandaVision.
Yeah.
Like not really.
Other than the
about-
children existing.
About TV
Yeah.
stuff. So let's talk about Earth 838.
Real quick, let's talk about America.
Let's talk about America.
America sucks.
I think she's
The country.
I think that she's introduced well. I like the actor.
Yeah.
I think she unfortunately suffers from like the plot is happening to her. She is
Yes.
not actively taking part in it until pretty much the end.
Yeah.
But I still like her relationship with Steven, the fact that she's driven by how much can I trust you because there are others who have wronged me before and been standing up for this Steven.
I think she's got good energy.
I think she has good energy too. I think that like it serves what it's supposed to for this film. I think it's unfortunate, but just like this plot does have to happen to her. She is essentially a MacGuffin.
I do know, kind of like Wanda fans, I do know America fans not happy with this one, and I get it. This is very much Birds of Prey, Cassandra Cain happening, where in the comics America is very, very strong. She knows what she's doing. She doesn't need people's help, which is kind of the fun thing about the comic we read.
Sure.
And this is very much her learning to be who she is, and I have no problem with that. But I'm also not tied to the character as much. So
right.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the key there. Like for Cassandra Cain, like I don't mind her for that movie. I just don't. It's a baffling way to adapt her.
Yeah.
I think we could still see. And I know like the MCU has fallen into this trap a lot lately, but like we could still see America grow into the character she is in the comics. She's only 13 in this movie. She's very young.
She's supposed to be 13.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
I'm sure that she will.
That's interesting because we'll do some Young Avengers talk after this. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Making her young is actually smart. That's actually smarter than I.
I will highlight like it's not my gripe, but it is out there, and I would be remiss to not mention it considering how hard I came after Spielberg's West Side Story. America is Puerto Rican, and the actor Xochitl Gomez, who I like, is Mexican.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of people who are upset about that. I think that that there's validity to that. I think there's an amount of this also came up around Spielberg's West Side Story. A lot of Puerto Ricans talking about like it's a bummer that 2 of the 3 leads are not Puerto Rican, but a bunch of the extras are. And I think this is also stems from like having to recognize that Puerto Rico is being mistreated by our country, not to like fully tangent us, but like that they're lobbying and have been lobbying for years to actually be ratified as a state because they are a part of the United States of America, even though we don't acknowledge it that way as a country. We don't treat it that way. They are essentially the 51st state. We just refuse to make them that.
They can't vote.
And I think when that amount of representation in the political body is so absent, having any kind of glimmer of moments, especially to have your hero in the MCU not be played by someone who is Puerto Rican, I understand why that is upsetting people. And I think that's reasonable to put out there that like being filed under the umbrella of Latin X generality is not good enough. Sometimes we need to recognize that Mexican is not the same thing as Puerto Rican. And I think that's totally valid. And I'm sorry for them that's the way that it's going over.
Yeah.
One of my squares that I got right was we would visit the utopian parallel.
We did for a hot second. Real quick. So actually, I think there's only really one scene that I could think of that I thought was just kind of like it was kind of shot weirdly. And it's the scene when they're in Earth 838 or whatever, and they're going past the memory
lane.
And it's just the way it's shot. Like for Stephen Strange, I think it's fine. But like she steps onto this memory device. We get the most traumatic memory she's ever seen. I think it's shot kind of weirdly. I think like the scene where her parents get sucked up, I think it's just executed poorly. I think it's a poorly shot scene. And then she's just like, oh, let's just not talk about it. And like, that is just to show you what happened to her parents. And I think that could have been done in such a more interesting, fun, clever way than a random like memory machine that she steps on. Like,
which is just a demo that tries to get you to buy the service, but will also show you one of the most haunting memories you have to try and get you to buy it.
They will show you your origin story on the free trial.
Yes.
I just thought that scene was extremely poorly handled, and I'm like, I'm glad that like the explanations there. We got the two moms thing. That's great. Like, I wish it was handled just completely different.
Let's talk about some cameos. How about?
Hell yeah, let's talk about murder.
So we meet the Illuminati by way of Baron Mordo, who is the Sorcerer Supreme of 838.
Okay, real quick. So I don't think I ever talked to you about this, like this specific plot point, like when we saw the trailers for the Illuminati. I was under the assumption, I don't know about you guys, this was the Illuminati for the multiverse.
Me too.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay, thank God. Because the fact that it's just the Illuminati of this Earth specifically makes all of these cameos fine. We'll talk about performances and all this stuff after, but like the fact that it is Reed Richards, it's Captain Marvel, it is Black Bolt, like this is just another world where all this stuff happened. And I think that is so good. I was so worried that it was the multiversal Professor X, and it's not. It's not.
I agree with you, and I'm very happy it is the way it is.
It made that scene for me like infinitely more enjoyable because I was actually kind of dreading the multiverse stuff happening with them.
Not to continue to push off the cameos more, but can we talk about Mordo for a second? Because we all thought Mordo was Mordo from the MCU.
Yeah.
And we're wrong. And I think it's fine. I think it's an enjoyable appearance. I think it's very funny that clearly they have no idea what to do with the storyline they set up for Mordo. Mm-hmm. And so they might just never do it. And I think that's very funny.
It is funny. Here's the thing. Like, clearly Mordo didn't really have a role in this movie as Mordo from 616. They probably could have done it in some way where they team up, whatever. Like,
I'm very glad they didn't try to force it.
Yes, the fact that he's in the movie still means that like we want Mordo in our movie. It doesn't make sense for his normal character to show up. So he is the Sorcerer Supreme part of the Illuminati. And I'm like, I'm so glad that he's here. Like, it's awesome.
The implication feels very much like he is the kind of like the Robotnik to Strange's Sonic, where he's like, he's like one of my greatest enemies right now, and so like they clash, and then Mordo's like, I'll get you next time, Strange, and then disappear. And that's kind of his role in the MCU and has been for the past few years.
He snapped and dedicated his whole life to try to kill me.
Yeah.
Off screen.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I really like the kind of like everyone in the audience is like tense when Mordo shows up.
Yeah, which is also again an escalation for that 616 character, because that's not how he left Strange and Doctor Strange. He was just trying to take magic back away from sorcerers. It wasn't, I want to murder Stephen Strange. Apparently it's there now.
Yeah, whatever these two had was serious beef, super beef.
He's the Black Manta for Aquaman. We just got to see Black Manta. I think that the moment. I'm so curious to watch the scene without a screaming audience, because like there's a bit where it's like, you know, Christine says I'm like a whatever for the Baxter Foundation. I was like, oh,
I marked immediately. I marked. I couldn't help it. The first Fantastic Four thing. I'm such a fan. Like that. For real. Like that was enough for me, and I lost my mind.
Yeah, and so like that was like the thing, and I was like, oh, okay. And then like they go for it. Like we get Captain Carter, we get Captain Marvel, we get John Krasinski as Reed Richards.
Not Blackagar, Boltagon, the most important of them. Come on.
Anson Mount coming back to play Black Bolt is so great.
He's good. He wasn't the problem with that show.
No, he really wasn't. He was the best thing of that show. I'm really excited that he's in this.
I saw people online saying, why would any actor want to reprise a role just to get murdered? And I'm like, why
would anybody ever want to be in an MCU movie?
Not just to be in the MCU movie. Like, have such a fun role as this. Like, oh, you're gonna blow my head up. That sounds so fun. Working with Sam Raimi, like y'all, like some people are crazy.
And they get really interesting things to do. Like we see them kill their Strange. It's through Black Bolt and Black Bolt on Titan. And so, man, that never thought I'd see that Professor Xavier on Titan and that yellow.
I never thought we'd hear Patrick Stewart say Thanos.
Bro, what a movie! What a movie!
Like the like we all knew Patrick Stewart was in there because we hear his voice in the trailer, but when he shows up on the wheelchair and he does the mind thing with like the second waves, just like it used to be in the cartoon shows. Like
that was the moment.
I wish marketing hadn't.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. I wish marketing hadn't given it away.
100%. That would rock my world.
When you even get like a character art for Professor Xavier, because like when he's before Black Bolt kills him, he says, "I'm sorry, old friend." Mm-hmm. So you kind of get this like remorse a little bit, maybe that transfers to their Strange.
Right. He says, "I shall miss you, old friend."
I shall miss you.
And then because Black Bolt gets the "I'm sorry."
Yeah, Black Bolt's. Do you remember, Ryan, when he kills his son from the future?
Yeah.
By saying, well, what do you hope to see, my son? Vaporizes him. Big vaporization energy in this.
I didn't watch all of Inhumans. I'm sorry, Marvel. I watched the first half of the first episode, maybe. But I didn't really see how Black Bolt's powers would operate. And like that's the thing is like he can whisper and blow up a mountain, right? So like when it started to happen, I'm like, well, I guess it looks cool, but it's not doing much. Oh, there goes the rest of the stuff on road. Yeah, there you go.
And it's so cool to see to how they visualize it. I think
amplifies.
I think Sam Raimi did a really interesting job with all their powers, how reimagining these powers for kind of what a Sam Raimi MCU film would look like. Mm-hmm. But like you see, like even like the sound design on Black Bolt's scream, how it's the "I'm sorry" starts quiet and it keeps amplifying
and like it screams even though it's
get louder and louder. Yeah, and so like then you get like what we talked about, like Ben talked about, like Xavier does from the 97 cartoon with the waves coming out of his head, and even like points.
So Brandon, hold on, the 92 cartoon. This was but the music was credited from X-Men 97, which isn't out yet.
Oh,
this is the Xavier. This is the world from X-Men 92. So that means Xavier dies in this world 25 years later. Yes,
because we said at the end it was like, oh, so nothing of What If carried over, and we were just like, well, I guess this could be the Captain Carter universe.
It could be, but I think it's just like, oh, this is the Captain Carter. Like there isn't a Steve Rogers.
Yeah, there's just more multiverses that have Captain Carters. That's it.
Let me tell you why.
Haley Atwell, my love.
She looks really good.
She got bisected.
Oh God, let me tell you. I'm not gonna lie. There was a tinge of cringe when she was like, I could do this all day, but I immediately loved it because no, you can't. Because second later she's dead, and I'm like, that's actually really funny.
I think all the deaths of the Illuminati are brilliantly brutal. They're suggested brutality, except for like Black Bolt, who's you just see his head cave in.
Oh my God,
which is honestly terrifying when Black Bolt's like.
I cannot believe. Like again, like this isn't rated R, but like for a Marvel movie, I cannot believe we saw that.
Yeah, it's good. This film isn't as sanitized as other Marvel films have been.
Mm-hmm. I also love how cocky the Illuminati is, especially Maria Lambo, where she's like, "Oh, we can handle a little witch who decides to
Lambo."
Maria Lambo.
Maria Lambo.
No, I love it. No, I'm not. That's
brilliant.
That's a better name.
It's Rambo, Ben. If you didn't know,
that's what I said.
You said Lambo.
You said Lambo.
Lamborghinis are pretty hot.
Anyways, when she's all acting cocky about how it's like, oh, we can handle a little witch, and then they just get murdered left and right.
Well, one of the things that
hold on, and also I just love how Wanda is just supremely evil in this scene, like where she says "what mouth," and then when she's talking to Mr. Fantastic, and she's like, "Your children, do they have money?"
Yeah,
Mom said,
that's what I want to talk about.
Good, and she goes, "Good." Then someone can care for him and kills him by turning him into string cheese. It's like, yikes.
Well, the thing that I really like about that scene is like, yeah, you're talking about Maria and Black Bolt. They're pretty cocky in that moment. They're like, yeah, we're hot shit, because that's who their characters are. But Reed tries to stalk her down. You know, I really appreciate that Reed is like, hey, like, by the way, I never thought we'd see Mr. Fantastic Powers this early.
Bro, come on. I can't even with this one.
If you possess an innocent woman, tries to reason with her, and even thinks she's got it when he's asked about the children thing, and then he gets unraveled.
So there's Go ahead.
No, I've talked more than you. You go.
So there's something kind of awkward. I think it stood out more on a second viewing about the way that Charles stays behind and tells Strange that he's like, Stephen, if you get out of here, get America to the Book of Vashenti and be safe. And I'm like, why don't you just let him go then? There's something confusing about why they decide to just, like, Xavier leaves, they decide to just leave Mordo and Strange in that room, and I'm like, people are dying, and I'm like, I don't know what exactly the goal is here. I get Mordo's, like, stubbornness, but it's confusing. Because it's like Mordo doesn't care about saving his friends.
I will, this isn't even me defending the scene or pushing back, it's just a thought, like, it is so chaotic. Like, they're at the Baxter building, like, this should never have happened. Like, this is, like, the thing I like about the scene is, like, this is a world where they won. Where, like, they didn't have to have the insane fight with Thanos that our Avengers did. They beat him with the Book of Ashanti easy, right? So, like, they are so cocky. They don't think Wanda's a threat. And then their shit starts getting rocked. So, like, I can understand, like,
because their Wanda's not a threat.
Yeah.
So they're just like, yeah, this is fine.
There's only one Scarlet Witch, and it's not in this universe. So, like, I guess I can give, I've only seen it once, so, like, I don't remember the order of things, but, like, things are getting out of hand. Maybe, like, I definitely think that this group is, as a whole, is, like, a little too in their own shit of, like, Steven, you're the real problem here. And it's like, I'm telling you, the Scarlet Witch is going to kill you. And they're like, Steven. Yes. That's why I like it. That's why I love
you're it. You're the problem.
I'm
like,
here's the thing.
But the way the scene is written with Charles, when he tells him everything, is that it's like him saying, we'll see what kind of Strange you are. And Steven's like, thank you. And then it cuts away. But then when we cut back to the room, Charles isn't there, but Mordo's there, and they haven't let Steven go. And I'm like, I don't know why we didn't let Steven go at this point.
I do agree with that. I think there's a weird editing thing there that I'm like, well,
but they didn't have the remote.
Sure, but, like, it's still just like Xavier has given this, like, kind of I'm giving you my blessing moment, but we're just gonna leave them stuck in this room.
I do agree with that. The thing that, like, because I have seen people be like, the Illuminati are, like, so stupid. Like, guys, like, in the comics as well, like, the Illuminati are so arrogant, and, like, they think they always know what's right. Like, they are heroes, but, like, they're always making the worst decisions, and that's always Doctor Strange. They've never had to deal with Wanda as powerful as she is here, so they don't think about having to deal with it.
The problem is people who are too married to their ideas of Charles, especially Patrick Stewart's Charles and John Krasinski's Reed Richards, they're like, they wouldn't get taken out by a woman,
bro,
let alone Wanda.
Yes. One, Scarlet Witch is super strong. Two, Reed is hella arrogant, and I especially think in this universe, like where, again, all the Thanos stuff happened very differently, and he's like hot shit. He's part of the Illuminati. They're in the Baxter building. Like, he's like King Honcho. He's like, I'm nothing can hurt me.
He's living the Tony Stark life.
Absolutely, yeah.
So there's two things I want to bring up that you just reminded me. There are 7 seats. We only see 6 members of the Illuminati.
I assumed one was for Strange. Did that Strange?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
I assume that too.
Because, like, I also saw, like, people think, like, oh, maybe that's the cut Tom Cruise cameo or a different cameo. I'm like, I think it's just the dead guy.
I think it could be there because Iron Man is classically part of the Illuminati. Like, I think it could be implied that was for an Iron Man, but maybe not the Tom Cruise one, but just like an Iron Man.
Yeah. I gotta say, like, real quick, like, the fact that we have an Illuminati and 4 of the original members from the comics are there, like, the fact they brought Black Bolt back. If they had left Inhumans alone, no one would say a word. But they respect the characters, and they respect what the characters are capable of. And Black Bolt is essential to the Illuminati. Even if this is just the only time the Illuminati ever show up, I don't think it is, multiverse stuff. It's cool to see him show up on this version of it, because, like, he is a cool character. Like, again, every character can be important.
I think, speaking on the point that it's not the only time we're going to see, I think our Strange is going to build an Illuminati on the MCU Earth.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I don't know how you guys fall on this, but I think Krasinski looks very good as Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, so I don't want him as Mr. Fantastic. He looks really good. He embodies the look of Mr. Fantastic. I don't think his performance was as arrogant, as condescending. It kind of just felt like John Krasinski talking to us a little bit. That's also just like maybe he just filmed the cameo really quickly, right? So
he doesn't really get a lot to do.
He doesn't get a lot to do, right? It's like a very quick cameo thing showing up. So, like, he's not my first choice. If he is Mr. Fantastic, like, I'm not going to hate it. I'll absolutely am not going to hate it.
Sparks and I were talking that, that like I think that like this could be like them being like, okay, we did the John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, it can go either way. Like
we'll do something else now. The other thing is, I also kind of would like this be like, oh, they go to MCU and Mr. Fantastic is there, and he's got Franklin and Valeria, and so like we because I want the whole family unit in the MCU. I don't want them to just do another origin.
So, great line from Doctor Strange. Says, didn't you guys get jettisoned in the 60s?
That's not what he says.
That's not what he says?
No. What he says, so what happens is, because I listened to it too, Brandon, is that he says, Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four, and Strange says, didn't you guys chart in the 60s?
Chart.
So, the thing is, that can be read...
Let him talk.
No, he does say Fantastic Four, though.
I didn't dispute that.
No, because that was one of my things on my bingo card I couldn't hear when I was watching the movie, is that they say the words Fantastic Four.
Yes, they do
say
you're
asking
the
a
word
question.
Fantastic Four.
All right, cool. Sweet. I got another point then.
So he says, didn't you guys chart in the 60s? Here's the thing. That can be a joke, like the Fantastic Four sounds like the Jackson 5.
Sure.
Did they chart space in the 60s? It can go either way.
Okay, yeah.
Because I thought the same thing the first time I heard it, and then I saw how it was played because Reed like gives him a smirk.
Also, like, every time a character is introduced, he makes a joke about their names and stuff. So
exactly. So I'm like, this could go either way. It could be a reference to them charting space in the 60s, or it could be him making a joke about them being like them sounding like a band.
That's
because
a good point.
Fantastic Four.
Strange is really into music, as established in the first film, because like he does the thing in the first film when he's operating and they get test on old music and he like knows everything about them. And
good point, Brandon.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think they left the room that you could interpret that two ways.
I love it. So yeah, real quick, like Fantastic Four and X-Men. X-Men is number one, but like we've had 10 years. We've had almost 15 years of MCU at this point, and my favorite characters have not shown up except Iron Man. I got lucky with Iron Man, right? But everyone else is tertiary Marvel. Like the real like X-Men and Fantastic Four are like Marvel's first family and Marvel's most successful IP. We got confirmation. They didn't say the word mutant, but we got confirmation that Charles Xavier is in the MCU. That means X-Men are in the MCU. That's, for me, it's really special. Right. We saw Mr. Fantastic. This is not the guy I want him to play. I think he's great, but like they said Baxter Building, they talked about the kids. Mr. Fantastic is part of the MCU now. My future is so happy. I am so happy, y'all. Like, I can't believe, because like people are like, where are they gonna go next? I'm like, you guys don't read enough comics then. Like we have an infinite amount of stuff to go to. And the thing
is that Fantastic Four movie is on the horizon.
Yeah, it's on the horizon. And the thing that made me pop, guys, more than anything else in this entire movie, is they said the word incursions.
Right.
Secret Wars.
They trademarked Secret Wars last year. Jim Shooter said they came to me trying to buy Secret Wars license from me. Incursions is the thing from Jonathan Hickman's Avengers run. It's from Secret Wars, his 5-year Avengers run buildup. That's what we're leading to. The stuff with Loki, the stuff with Kang, that's all fine and dandy. He's going to be our big bad for now, but Secret Wars is the thing we are slowly building to. That is our end goal. And like the fact that like, oh, guys, I love that. I love Secret Wars so much. And like the thought of them of like doing that, something like that in the next 10 years, I can't believe it. That's the thing.
Kang could incite this version of Secret Wars like he did in Lego Marvel Superheroes.
Kang has opened the path because Kang is the one who set the MCU free into the multiverse.
Yeah. So like, I've been thinking about this literally nonstop. Not even so much Doctor Strange, just the future. Because so many people are like, I don't know what they're going to do next. And I'm like, this movie has opened the doors for literally so much stuff. They've opened the doors for Young Avengers. They opened the doors for the Secret Wars stuff. They opened the doors for so much more magic stuff. The Clea stuff. The Dark Dimension stuff. The possibilities are endless, and I'm just so excited. This movie did so much more than I think people really realize for the future, and for good or bad. But like, they said the word incursions, and you don't throw that. That's not a word you normally use in just random. Like that is they talked about Secret Wars, and that is so exciting. I can't fathom the future. I'm so happy.
Yeah,
I think on the surface, it is definitely like, because incursions is the term for when universes crash together. Yeah. Like, and that's what happened. So I think on the surface you can definitely be like, yeah, that's what, but on like the macro level, it is one of those things where I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
the next event movie, the next Avengers movie is Secret Wars.
Honestly, the way I see it is it's Secret Wars is bigger than that. I think the next Avengers movie is Kang. All the stuff with Kang, Kang is gonna be like basically Avengers Forever, where it's a big multiversal thing. But then after that is when the collisions start happening, when the multiverse starts just getting destroyed and they start getting smaller and building that Secret Wars. I think Kang and Secret Wars are separate, but I think Kang is on the road to Secret Wars.
Still can't believe I got to see Charles Xavier on Titan.
Yeah. Looking kind of silly in that green screen.
He does look, but he looks kind of silly on that chair too. It's very big.
The mind battle between Xavier and Wanda, where Patrick Stewart came in on a reshoot and get his neck snapped.
Oh baby, I love that scene when he walks through and he's just like, Wanda Maximoff, you've been possessed by your alternate self, and like this 90-year-old man tries to pull this girl out of the rubble.
Y'all, real quick. If Charles Xavier exists in this world, and the Scarlet Witch exists in this world, is she Magneto's daughter?
Well, so that was the whole thing. Is I kind of wish that they'd done the moment where Patrick would acknowledge Wanda as like knowing her because of Eric, but they didn't do that.
I thought they were gonna do like I know you in my world.
Yeah, I kind of thought that would have been cool to acknowledge like here she is Eric's daughter.
I have a theory. It's a mutant theory. Just run with me because I've just been thinking about it all week. X-Men are eventually going to show up in the Marvel universe. Eventually, right? I think Wanda is going to be a mutant because she had powers when she was a child that sparked, and then the Infinity Stones brought them out, and they classified it as enhanced or whatever. Right? I think they're going to retcon it eventually when like, no, you were a mutant all along, and your powers just didn't manifest yet. I think that's the future, and I think that's exciting. That's just me, though.
Right, but would that? I mean, she was a mutant and she had chaos magic in the comics. Like it was two separate things. So yeah, it could work.
Yeah, like she was a magician and a mutant. Like those were separate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I just think that's a cool thing that'll eventually I think will happen to make people happy.
I want to spotlight the moment when Wanda kills Peggy. I think Elizabeth Olsen's just doing a really good job because there's the shot after she falls to the ground where Wanda has a look on her face like, is this too far?
Yeah.
This might be too far. I think I'm not happy with this. But then Lashana Lynch's Captain Marvel comes after her before she can really finish that thought.
God, those deaths. I think about those deaths all the time. Like those were brutal, and I loved it.
I truly cannot believe that the first time I saw Reed Richards, he gets spaghettioed.
Right?
It's so like again Marvel like that does something to the brain of Fantastic Four in a tiny way, in a weird fun way. We're like, man, they just killed the Fantastic Four. That's really crazy. I love it.
The Xavier death is like when she comes out of the smoke and she's all demonized. That's honestly like I jumped. Like that's pretty scary.
That's like she had to drag me to hell right there. Oh, yeah.
I hated that in the fact of how terrifying she looked.
Yeah,
for sure. I was hoping that was like when you see her and she is all like disgusting and corrupted looking. I was kind of hoping that would be like her final form. Like once we get to the closer to the end of the movie, this is like the Darkhold completely corrupted her, and she is ready to like let loose and go hog wild.
Yeah, I do wish there was more of like the Darkhold taking hold of her because she's doing some really heinous shit in this movie. But I really enjoy watching it.
I want to shout out Ross Marquand. You get that Marvel check, boy. I'm so proud of you.
I definitely assumed it was going to be James Spader, but I forgot that Ross did it for Ultron and What If.
Yeah.
Because I definitely heard Spader's voice or Ross's voice, and I'm like, man, they didn't have to get because it's like off screen, you barely hear it, but like it's there.
Yeah.
And he's in the credits as Ultron, and I'm like, yeah, good job, buddy. I'm happy for you.
Hell yeah. Doesn't have to do a lot, gets paid a bunch of money. Hell yeah.
Get that check, James Spader, turned down.
We're going long. Let's talk about the third act. Let's talk about how cool Zombie Strange is with his cape of ghosts.
Well, we didn't talk about the music
song
battle.
Sorry. The song battle is incredible.
Fantasia WWE.
Well, like everything leading up to it, also like when they're in the space between, and then Wanda uses the abilities to send Strange and Christine, and then is able to like push her through the thing.
It's so cool that they get to the Book of Vishanti and Wanda immediately destroys it, and it's not the way we're going to resolve this movie.
I'm so happy. It was so good.
And the music battle between evil Doctor Strange and our Doctor Strange is one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The last time we've had a music battle, I think, was Scott Pilgrim, like 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When it's like because Strange like throws the Evil Dead music at Evil Strange, and then Evil Strange makes the strings to connect all the things, and then throws it back. Oh man,
Dude,
I was just like yes.
They're throwing like Flight of the Bumblebee, like Beethoven at each other. I see people online. I'm like, I just don't know what movies you guys enjoy. They're just throwing random notes of music. Like, it doesn't sound like anything. I'm like, they're playing literal music. Like, what are you guys listening to? This Flight of the Bumblebee was playing.
And that's the score of the scene is that battle.
It's so wicked.
It's so brilliant. I love it so much.
Oh, I lied. Legion. Legion has an excellent scene where Jermaine Clements does a weird thing with musical notes.
Yeah.
God,
Legion does some of that for sure.
Yeah.
Legion has a really great second season ending battle.
Ryan hasn't seen it.
Not yet.
Yeah. So the zombie Strange, when he's just like, you have to protect me from what? The souls of the damned. Beautiful.
I do like the second his hand comes out and the guitar licks are gone, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm watching this movie. I wanted to look at the audience going, am I seeing this?
Are you guys ready for another Iron Man 3 comparison?
Yeah.
Doctor Strange, when he's being overwhelmed by the souls, and she's like, you're the master of the mystic arts, use them. A lot like the kid saying, you're a mechanic, why don't you just build something?
Yeah.
We got that same energy, and he's like, you're right. It just takes
just like do and creates a cloak of the souls of the damned that just is so good. The CGI in this movie is incredible. There are some beautifully disgusting solid pieces of there's monsters that are so unique, and they feel the weight of them. They feel really great. I love it.
So that scene, that Doctor Strange, that evil zombies train right there, that's something straight out of Doom.
It's incredible. It is some of the coolest visuals I've ever seen in a superhero movie. This is the shit that is reserved for horror movies.
You'll have to do more to kill me than to kill me.
That is one of my favorite lines of all time. I'm not I chuckled so hard. I can't believe this movie. He winks at the camera. Yeah.
Old just when because I caught onto it earlier when he's just can't you only possess living? You're living in the other dimensions. Well, who says it has to be living? And that's Zombie Strange.
There's Chthon temple demons. They look pretty cool.
They look really great.
When Wong gets up and he sees Zombie Strange, he goes, I don't even want to know.
I don't want to know.
I really liked that part. I really like that the part where Wong is shouting "Strange" was a joyful thing, because the trailer certainly makes you think it's not. The way that they cut it into the trailer, and I was like, "Oh, dang, that's awesome!" I'm glad that they didn't kill Wong. I was definitely nervous for a second.
Yeah,
I got that right. Wong remains. I know this is a little later, but Wong remains Sorcerer Supreme. I like that.
There's a nice little through line of asking Doctor Strange gets asked
for the bow.
Are you happy? Oh yeah, they have the bow thing. But I'm talking about the through line of are you happy? And that's a through line thing. And then at the end, he asks Wong, Wong, are you happy with the life that you have here? And he's like, I think about the other worlds that I could be happier, but then I'm just I'm content with what I have here. And I'm like, that's a good South Park moral of the story, Wong. I like it. Be happy with what you got here, Wanda. Don't kill people.
Well, I've also going back to Professor Xavier, there's a thing where he's talking about Strange, and he says, just because they stumble doesn't mean they can't find their way back or whatever.
That's from X-Men Days of Future Past.
And I think that's a really good moment to give to Strange, because he can then later, should the set up something, bring that to Wanda.
Yeah.
Obviously Wanda has killed many people, but there is, in Xavier's mind, what he wants to pass on to Strange is that everyone can be redeemed.
Yeah.
I just like that.
And I fully believe, again, this is not the beginning or end of Wanda's vision. We are going through Wanda's vision. It's just unfortunate. This is she she killed herself to to stop the bad boy. I 100%, I really truly believe the next time we see her will be in something Children's Crusade related, whether the X-Men or Doctor Doom are even there. I think those kids, they're going to wait a couple years. Those kids are going to be a little bit older. Why America Chavez is 13? She's younger than the actress who plays her. Like the actress is 16, right? Those 15. Kids are 15. Oh,
15 at the time they filmed, 16 currently.
Okay, so she's 16. Okay, those kids are around the same age. Instead of making America older, they made her younger. So those kids are around the same age. So all that Young Avengers stuff is coming closer and closer.
Well, I told Zara this, but like the only member of the classic Young Avengers that they haven't cast is Hulkling.
Yeah,
America Chavez is in the second generation, but the entire lineup of the classic Young Avengers are on, except for Hulkling, are on the MCU right now.
Yeah. And eventually I know Iron Lad will probably show up because they want to, 1, tie in the Kang, 2, tie into anything Iron Man related that they probably can.
Yeah.
Which will be really, really fun to see too, man. Like again, like I love this movie so much, but again, this is like an Age of Ultron where you're like, oh my God, they're setting up like so much cool stuff that like the possibilities are endless. And I'm like,
I think that's really I think that is the only way that it's like Age of Ultron, because other than that, I do think this is a standalone film.
Yeah.
I think that it has introduced plot threads in a way that, any sequel would, that could be picked up later on down the line. But for the most part, this film is very much like we got a beginning, we got an arc, we got the end, and we're done.
Yeah. It's mostly like a lot of the setup is there's a lot of exposition in the Illuminati scene, and I don't mind it. Like it is like the one place where it's really hardcore. But like this movie is so run and gun and it's so brutal at times. I'm just like, any of the flaws I see, I just like, I really like, this is like a movie. Like I'm not even thinking about it as an MCU movie. And I know that's stupid for the podcast that we do, but I just had such a good time watching a Sam Raimi movie. Like I love it so much as a horror, like a fun horror spooky movie.
Let's talk about Pizza Papa.
He always gets his dough.
He always
Pizza Papa always gets his dough.
Pizza balls look pretty good.
They do, don't they?
Pizza balls.
When he he's like, don't worry, the spell will wear off soon. How long? 3 weeks. The end credit scene is so good. One of my favorite. It's over.
Definitely, I'm glad everyone in our theater wasn't mad about it. They all had a good time.
Yeah.
You brought it up, Brian, but we haven't actually talked about Clea.
Yeah, I think it's well, first of all, let's talk about the end of the movie where it's the end to Evil Dead, where Ash gets taken over by the Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange, he partook a little too much in the devil's lettuce of the Darkhold, so he develops a third eye, and that's the cliffhanger. But then we cut to another scene where he's walking down the street again.
Also, I really like that we don't have the typical MCU finale to our battle. The way America puts Wanda in the room with the other Wanda and the boys. And they're terrified of her. And she says, I would never hurt you. I would never hurt anyone. I'm not a monster.
And then she looks over.
Shit.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's like one of the best scenes in the movie, and we didn't talk about it. Like her acting against herself is so good, and like it might have taken her more than like a couple dozen bodies to realize the things that she's doing. But like her seeing her scared kids is so impactful, and like her realizing like, oh, oops, I did an oopsie, and then the good Wanda being like, I understand what you're doing. No, they will be loved. That's all you need to say. It's so beautiful. It's so simple. Well acted.
Yeah. Elizabeth Olsen is so good in this movie. Honestly, the whole cast I think is really great in this movie. I think they really have a lot of fun, and it helps them shine.
All of them know what movie they're in. They're all making a fun, like cheeky, but like still like grounded at times, like emotional, like horror movie. They're allowed to be spooky, but also be emotional.
I wanted this movie to be weird. It's weird. It's got great visuals. It has some of the best CGI in the MCU.
People turn into paint.
That scene where you see the Living Tribunal in a world where everyone's paint. Oh man, that's awesome. There's an eyeball that comes out of a monster. Brilliant. This whole movie, like I cannot say enough about how much I truly loved this movie.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. Like there was a divide with some Wanda stuff, and again, I don't think. I think if you like took away her being the villain and gave like, oh, she was possessed, I think that would like take away a lot of the movie's bite. So I am happy this is the way the movie went. Unfortunately for Wanda herself, this isn't the end of her arc. Like she will come back. She will come back stronger than ever. Real quick. Last thing I'll talk about before the end stuff, or I guess we're done on the accent, because at the beginning of the movie I was confused, and then I realized when she's being herself, she has the Sokovian accent. When she's putting on a performance, she has the American accent, because she was flipping in and out of the accent, and I'm like, what's going on? And then I realized when she's getting really emotional and real, the real accent comes out, and I was like, that's good shit. Yeah. I like it.
It's so nice. I don't want to dig at this too much, because but it is nice to see like a seasoned filmmaker come back into the MCU and do something like this, and is able to make the kind of movie that he wanted to make. As that's how the MCU started, and they got away from that to varying degrees of success, mind you.
I think we've gotten certainly better. Like I think No Way Home, while being still kind of in the Marvel thing, is an incredible movie. I think that movie's really good. Like Ragnarok's great. The Guardian stuff is good. Besides Black Widow, like I think we're in a good spot. It's the TV shows we're really worrying about right now.
It would just be nice if we got more of these people, because like we had in the beginning, we had Joe Johnston and Kenneth Branagh. Like these are filmmakers who have been doing this for a long time, and then now I got Sam Raimi, same thing. So like I would hope that kind of going forward we get more of this kind of director coming in. I'm not saying I want Michael Bay to come in to do it, like for example, but like maybe Kenneth Branagh gets another shot. Yeah, like maybe we get someone who's seasoned again to kind of direct this movie and make it something that will be special.
Like when you have things like Ragnarok and this movie come out and they show like you can make these types of movies and still be the director you want to be. Like Sam Raimi has talked explicitly. His interviews are so delightful. He's talked in so many interviews how like Marvel was really free reign on what they let me do. They said these are the plot elements you need to put in the movie. Besides that, do what you want. And I fully believe that. And it feels like, again, except for some like Black Widow, but that's a different story with that character. Freedom is coming back, and like they're just allowed to make the movies they want. And I'm so excited for Love and Thunder. If this is, if they get Sam Raimi for a second Doctor Strange movie, that's going to be like the greatest thing ever made, like for real. Because like
I really hope
Love and Thunder looks so good.
I really hope Sam Raimi comes back for a third Doctor Strange. But Clea,
I think it's a poorly shot scene, but like I love Charlize Theron. That is such good casting. Unfortunately, she won't be Emma Frost now, but Clea's really cool. What a fun character.
I was really surprised.
Yeah. I didn't expect it on my bingo card. I expected it to be like a passing, like oh, I dated a woman named Clea once or something. That's why Sam Raimi has to come back, because he set up the evil Doctor Strange with the third eye, and he set up Clea. It's going to be so fun for another director to come in and just work off that final shot.
Yeah. It was such an interesting bit, because like, you used to get that a lot in like early comic book movies, that like a famous actor would come in and play some famous character. And like we saw that in like Sonic the Hedgehog too. Like that used to just kind of be how it would happen if you wanted a franchise. You would tease with a famous actor. And then like that kind of felt like this, where it's like, it's not just some random girl shows up. It's Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
That's a famous actor.
Honestly, I know it's too early for X-Men, but like the rumors were she was being courted for a Marvel role recently, or like relatively recently. The movie's out now. So I was like, God, if Emma Frost would be so perfect. But like Clea is a fun, potentially one movie character that they will be really fun. Bring back, God, they gotta bring back Sam. They gotta.
It is his favorite Marvel character. Hopefully he'll be back.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to add, or should we? Because I could talk about this movie all night, but
I could too, but it's late. I really enjoyed it. Like, I would much rather have a vision that's has problems than a 4-quadrant movie that serves everyone. That's kind of okay. And for me, this movie, like, again, I got a new Sam Raimi movie. Not just that, I got a expensive new Sam Raimi movie. With characters I love. Like I'm so happy with this movie.
Who'd you rate it?
I still think Spider-Man's a better movie. So I'm gonna give it a 9.5.
Sparks?
Yeah, I'd say I'm solidly in a 9 range.
Ben?
Yeah, I'm in a 9 too.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I really love this movie. Wish I could talk about it all night. I'm gonna give it a 10.
I've listened to the Ringerverse podcast. Like I've listened to multiple like 3-hour long podcasts about this movie just because I love hearing people talk about it. And I love hearing all the different opinions because like this is one of the few where I think like, everyone is right. Like the stuff with Wanda is gross, but I also think it's an incredible movie. Or like if you aren't so tied to the MCU, it's not as important. I know it sounds shitty to like talk about representation and like in women's health, but you guys want to talk about like regular people going to see this movie. I think you're going to have a really, really good time.
I just kind of look at it like I don't have any problems with this movie personally.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, it's great. It's one of my favorites. 10.
I cannot wait for the bloopers for this movie. It's going to be so fun.
So
I want to see what Sam Raimi threw at an actor.
So Mag's here, guys.
What up,
Mag
Mag?
also gives it a 9.
Cool.
Yeah. Good movie.
Should we get into a book club then?
Real quick. Remember before Spider-Man came out and we were so worried and the movie was great? And then we were super worried about Doctor Strange and it ended up being great. I gotta maybe we should not worry so much about Marvel. Sony, F those guys, but maybe Marvel is like, those movies.
Specifically Pascal. We cannot blame an entire company for one
That's
woman's
true.
psychoticness.
No, that's true. That's true.
I mean,
Sorry,
Sony
Kevin.
did as much as we like to crap on Sony for some of the Spider-Man films they have given us, Into the Spider-Verse is still fantastic. That's still a 10 out of 10 film.
Don't forget V2, Electric Venom.
All right, shall we book club?